Hi guys, it's Marc Zicree of Space Command, also known as Mr. Sci-Fi, and I'm here today to talk about how Ray Bradbury became my friend. I don't know if I've talked about this on Mr. Sci-Fi before, but I've been going through my collection this past week. I'm going to be thinning the herd, so to speak. Just some items that I've just, you know how it is in a collection where sometimes you have something that's accrued in value, but you really don't have the same affection for it that you did when you were young and callow. So if someone has thousands of dollars and wants to buy some very cool stuff, let me know. But meanwhile, we're editing this first Space Command film and selling shares in the second one, and that's going very, very well. It's all very exciting, and I'm just thrilled. But I was just recently emailing Guillermo del Toro about Ray Bradbury, and I remembered I sent Guillermo something relating to how Ray and I became friends. And I'm writing the book about my friendship with Ray. I've started writing that, and I just wanted to share this with you because I thought it was really fun and really cool. Because we all of us have heroes in our lives, people who are one of a kind and who leave a huge, huge impression on us. And Ray was the first writer I ever saw in person when I was 10. He spoke at a library, and he said, ideally, your life and your art and your work should all come from the same place. And this had a huge influence on me. And I think that might be the moment that I first decided to become a writer. And as I grew up, Ray, of course, was a huge influence, and I read the Martian Chronicles and Fahrenheit 451 and Ray's short stories and loved them enormously. And I'd go to conventions and run into Ray or see him on television. He was one of those people that I hoped would become my friend and mentor, but it just never happened. It's lightning didn't strike on his part, and so I just kind of, as I grew up, I gave up on that happening. But of course, in the last decade or so of Ray's life, he was a dear friend and mentor, and I would go over to his house about once a month, and we'd hang out and talk, and just it was a priceless gift. And I wanted to show you something. I took this off my wall. I thought you might enjoy seeing. This is a photo I took of myself and Ray, and as you can see, it's signed by Ray. And this really, I think, shows our relationship, our friendship. It was just a joy. But I wanted also to talk to you about how we became friends, because it was such a surprising story and such an unusual story. And it comes from this. This was a CD audio play that I did around maybe perhaps 13, 14 years ago, and it says The Ultimate Moby Dick, starring Charles Laughton as Ahab, Richard Basehart as Ishmael, and Gregory Peck as Father Mapple. Now, what the hell is that thing? Here's how it came about. I knew that Ray Bradbury had written Moby Dick for John Huston in the 1950s. In fact, because I wrote The Twilight Zone Companion, I had the letters that Ray wrote Charles Beaumont teaching him how to write. And some of those letters, which were astonishing, were written on Hibernian Hotel stationery from Ireland, 1953, when Ray was there working with Huston on the screenplay of Moby Dick. And it's a wonderful film. If you haven't seen it, I urge you to seek it out. It stars Gregory Peck as Ahab, Richard Basehart as Ishmael, and Orson Welles plays Father Mapple. And I'm not a big fan of Orson Welles' performance in that film. He just kind of was not really into the role particularly. He was kind of terrified by it. He had liquor in the little podium when he was giving his sermon, and kind of was taking swigs to kind of bolster his courage. And Gregory Peck felt he was miscast, and he actually said to Huston while they were making the film, you should be playing this role rather than me, which was actually accurate. Huston would have made a great Ahab. But it's still a wonderful film, and Ray did a great job on the screenplay, and it really captures the feeling of that time and place. And Richard Basehart is great as Ishmael, and Queequeg is Friedrich Ledbetter, who was also in Twilight Zone. He's in The Howling Man, is phenomenal as Ishmael, and it's got a great magical quality, the film. But it has these flaws as well, these weaknesses. So the genesis of this was when I was producing Sliders, I was on the Universal lot, and they did a mini-series of Moby Dick in which Gregory Peck played Father Mapple, and he was in the Orson Welles role, and he gave a sermon that was terrific. In fact, he won the Emmy for that. And when I went to the screening at Universal, Gregory Peck was sitting 2 rows behind me. And so I introduced myself, being cheeky, and I asked if he would be willing to sign a lobby card that Ray had signed to me of Moby Dick, and he said sure. So I sent that to him along with a poster of To Kill a Mockingbird, which he was kind enough to sign as well. And it started the wheels turning, because he was so good as Father Mapple. I thought, well, gee, if you took and that miniseries followed the book, as did Ray's version of in the 1950s movie. And at about that time, I'd come across an LP of Charles Laughton as Ahab. It was an audio play, and again followed the text of the book. And Charles Laughton, of course, was a brilliant, brilliant actor. If you've never seen Ruggles of Red Gap or The Canterville Ghost, or I mean, so many other films, and he was a great director too. He did, one film, but it's a great film, Night of the Hunter, and but Charles Laughton was brilliant as Ahab, just brilliant. And I started thinking, well, you could edit the audio tracks of these three works together, and mix and match, and you could get the ultimate Moby Dick, where Gregory Peck would be Father Mapple, Richard Basehart would be Ishmael, Frederick Ledbetter would be Queequeg, and Charles Laughton would be Ahab. So one Christmas, I edited this together with help from friends of mine who were editors, and my friend Nick Roberts did this wonderful cover in which we took a photo, the same lobby card that I had of from Moby Dick, and we put Laughton's head on that, from where he played King Lear. And I gave this out as a CD to my friends at Christmas. But I would never have dreamed of giving it to Ray Bradbury, because after all, I was screwing with his work. And so one day I come home, and there's a message on my answering machine. And the message is, "Hello, Mr. Zicree. This is Ray Bradbury. I've just listened to your Moby Dick CD. Please call me." And I think, oh no, I've pissed off Ray Bradbury. Oh dear. And so with my heart in my throat, I called Ray, and he left his number. And he said, "I loved your CD. Charles Laughton and I were dear friends. You must come over to the house. We must sit down and talk." So I went to Ray's house, and we sat down, and we became fast friends. We had so many things in common, and so many enthusiasms, and just so many things that were just passions that we shared. And now, interestingly enough, I did not tell him I'd written The Twilight Zone Companion, because years earlier I had written him when I was researching the book to see if he would be open to an interview, and he had declined. And I'd found two scripts in Rod Serling's attic of two Twilight Zone scripts that Ray had written that had never gotten made. They were brilliant scripts, wonderful scripts. And I'd heard that there had been a falling out between Ray Bradbury and Rod Serling. And so I thought best not to stir those waters, to stir that up, and I didn't want to risk alienating Ray. But over the years, as I would go to Ray's house once a month, and we'd talk, and we became dear friends. And I then finally, did tell him that I wrote The Twilight Zone Companion, and ultimately he did tell me about the rift between himself and Serling, which I will tell you on another Mr. Sci-Fi video shortly. And also, he and I collaborated on what would have been a sequel to The Martian Chronicles. Which I'll also talk about in a companion to this video very, very soon. But so this will basically be my Ray Bradbury series of videos. But if you'd like to listen to the ultimate Moby Dick, the very wonderful full-length audio play that basically resulted in my dear friendship with Ray Bradbury, it's now on my Facebook page. There's a link to it, and you can link to it there, and you can hear the entire hour-plus audio play, and I highly recommend that to you. So just go on to the Marc Zicree Facebook page, and you'll find it there. So until next time, this is Marc Zicree from my vast Zicree mansion, saying take care, follow your passions, keep close everything you love, including the people you love. And if you want to comment about Ray Bradbury, and who wouldn't want to, please do, and share this. Subscribe to all the things you do, and we'll talk to you very, very soon. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye, guys.